Whoa. Inside, eh? Inside the sane asylum. Whoa. Okay, that's creepy. Holy crap.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, this is creepy.
All right. Welcome to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. It's also known as Weston State Hospital and West Virginia Hospital for the Insane. Sorry. The ward that you are currently on is Ward 2. It was a teen ward at one point in its life. So it housed 10 to 18-year-old boys. The first place we're going to check out is right over here. Alright, you guys look at the windowsill. All of this is original, and it was all done by patients. So it's a lot of scratches, possibly fingernails. Maybe they had something they shouldn't have. But yeah, if you want to check all that out. Once again, it is all made by the patients when this place was in operation. This is not going to be. I don't know if I brought that. But this story is called Time and Punishment. So, when you really hear that phrase, it kind of reminds you of prison. But this place was way worse than a prison. And the reason being were the things that they were doing to the patients. So you had lobotomies, insulin shot therapy, hydrotherapy, bloodletting, what else? Calming crib. The calming crib is really strange. It's basically like a baby crib, but it has a top on it. So you can never sit up, you can never stand up, and they would keep you in that for X amount of time. The longest person that I know of in the calming crib, it was in Bedlam, and it was 20 plus years, and he was hanging from the ceiling. It was pretty much a display for everyone to come see. But the lobotomy is by far the worst. The lobotomist here at Weston State was Dr. Walter Freeman. He was the most well-known lobotomist in the world, and he was also the creator of the ice pick lobotomy. So one day he went into his kitchen, he opened up his drawer, takes an ice pick out, and heads to work. He sticks that ice pick in the corner of the patient's eye, taps it with a hammer up into the frontal lobe of the brain, and then scrambles the frontal lobe. So the frontal lobe controls emotion and personality. So what they're trying to do is erase what makes you you, basically, and make you a zombie, something easier for them to take care of. But we'll talk a little bit more about some treatments as we go. This teen ward, it was one of the most feared to work on. The violent females was number one. No one wanted to work on the violent females wards, but number two were the teen boys. And that was because of attacks that happened a lot on the staff here and on other patients. So in the 70s, there was a very violent murder that took place in the bathroom down here. But they said the boy that had been attacked was kind of a bully. He was picking on everyone. So the patients had enough. They cornered him in the bathroom and stabbed him multiple times with a homemade shank. More than likely, it was a toothbrush that they had sharpened up. So they stab him in the bathroom. He comes stumbling out, ends up basically crawling all the way up to this nurse's station. So it would have been fully enclosed at that time. So he comes looking for help from the nurses. The nurses do not come out to help him, and for good reason. They wouldn't come out when violent attacks were happening. They would call for orderlies to come. An orderly is a security guard for the asylum. So the orderlies make their way up to take care of what's going on here. And by the time they get here, the young male had passed away. That is probably the most active room on this ward, the bathroom. It's well known for disembodied screams, EVPs, spirit box sessions, and it's all two names that keep popping up, and that is John and Charlie. So those, like I said, that is probably the most active room on this ward. The biggest thing that I have had is nighttime, right? It's pitch black in here, but you have a little bit of light coming through the windows. I'm headed down this ward in the center, and all of a sudden, I can see that window, and then all of a sudden it completely goes black. So as I'm walking down, something just, basically a shadow pops up right in front of me, and it was taller than me, which I'm 6'8", so that's a pretty damn big shadow. But yeah, it just stops right in front of me. Nothing happens. I don't get scratched or anything, no voices. It just stands there, and then all of a sudden it shrinks down and disappears, and then I can see the window once again. So for me, that was probably the biggest thing that I have had. But also the loudest disembodied scream I have heard in this building comes from the same room, that back room. You guys are quiet, come on. Interact, talk. You don't have to be quiet. If you have any questions or whatnot, you don't have to raise your hand and shout it out. I'll try to answer them as best as I can.
So what side is the bathroom on?
It's, if you want to check it out real quick, it's right down here.
Okay.
So there's two parts to the bathroom. It would be this one, the one with the urinal. So this is where he was stabbed. So he was inside this stall. They basically charged in after him, stabbed him in the stall. He comes stumbling out and then makes his way up to the nurse's station.
A little fun fact, this room almost died across the hall. This is where it was suicide.
Yep.
So do they stay in their room alone?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the room and the time. 1950s, no room would have been single use, because that's when we hit 2,600 patients. So they would have been packed in there. At that point, there was even beds out in the hallway. But you look like more towards the 90s, yeah, they had single rooms. So it just really depends on the time period. But rooms like this, it's a larger room, it would have been more style. So that would have never been meant for one. That's probably like a 3 or 4 room. We're going to head up to the 3rd floor now. So one of the murders that took place on patient versus staff happened right in this door we're about to walk through. But a nurse was trying to leave the ward. These stairs would have been for staff only. So she goes to walk out the stairs when a patient jumps her and basically takes her head and just slams it into the door. So that happened right here. And once again, in 1970. My name is Zach. I've been working the overnight ghost hunts here for about 7 years. And this is my wife, Jocelyn. She's a former historic guide from here too. So. All right, the ward that you guys are currently on, Ward 3, it would have been in the end a geriatrics unit, so the elderly. But before that, it was many, many other things. You're looking criminally insane, violent men's, just a general population men's unit. It would have changed pretty much all the time. This hospital was open from 1864 to 1994. So we were just, West Virginia was just 1 year old. What the hell is going on here? I guess no flashlight. West Virginia was just 1 year old when we opened up the West Virginia Hospital for the Insane. If I had a light that worked, this is all original. It's from the last days of the asylum. You can see 3/22/94. But that gives you a glimpse into what the patient's life was. Yeah, you had morning meetings, current events, expressive therapy, recreation, library, room cleaning. But what's really crazy, this place was abandoned for 13 years. Oh, yeah. And people broke in all the time, but nobody broke in to graffiti the place and destroy the place. They basically broke in to do what people do now, and that's just to be alone in this building. And then back at that time, it was way creepier because the state of the building was not as nice as it is today. More curriculum, so 1985, they shut down the geriatric unit out back.
Yeah.
Dark. Cruel and unusual punishment, basically. There was no ventilation out there, and many of the elderly were passing away from heat stroke. So they shut down the geriatrics facility and moved them over here. But before that, like I said, it's a criminally insane unit. And you can see one of these seclusion cells here. So this is a homemade seclusion door. They cut a hole in the door, then welded some rebar and added 1, 2, and 3 deadbolts. And then on the inside, gated the window, of course, and gated the light up above so they couldn't smash the light, creating a glass shard and stab people, basically. I was told from nurses that worked here in the 80s that this was also David Mason's room, which David Mason was the dead nurse for the main impressor. As for paranormal, this ward is a little bit quiet. You do hear wheelchairs, gurneys, chains dragging, moaning, groaning, but it's not one of the crazier wards in this hospital for sure. Unlike the next one we're going to go to, Ward 6.
Holy crud. Oh.
This is one of the creepier wards at night. I forgot to say about that. I'm losing. One of the creepier
At least I got
wards at
some
night.
cool to see it.